As soon as the Nazis came to power, they started passing laws limiting Jews' freedom, limiting occupations they could go into, lots of laws limiting all elements of their lives. Some of these seemed pretty trivial, like not being able to buy flowers or not being able to own pets. Some were more significant, limiting places Jews could go for recreation, for education, or for other business opportunities. In 1935, the Nazis passed the Nuremberg Laws, which basically took away their citizenship rights and the safety that those rights would have provided. It also isolated them from the rest of the population. And laws continued to be passed. In 1938, they began to imprint a J on the passports of Jewish people. They also insisted that Jews add a middle name, Israel for men, Sarah for women, to their official name and signature. These laws were difficult. These laws were restrictive, but people felt they could live with them. They found ways to live with them. It really was an oppression by law, which changed dramatically in the pogrom of November 9th and 10th, 1938, which the perpetrators called Kristallnacht, the Night of Broken Glass. This occurred in response to an event that happened in Paris, where a Jewish youth shot a German official out of frustration, and the German official died, and it was felt that that demanded a strong and violent reaction. In response to this assassination, 2 days of violent rioting broke out throughout Germany and also in Austria, which had been annexed earlier that year. Thousands of synagogues and Jewish businesses were destroyed, Jewish ritual objects were vandalized, and tens of thousands of men and boys were put in protective custody and taken to concentration camps. The Jewish community realized that there had been a turning point, that the noose had tightened, and they really were going to have to consider this a matter of life and death. So they tried to get away. Still, there were roadblocks, the mountain of paperwork that needed to be done to leave one country and find another country that would take them. And that was particularly problematic because other countries had quotas and were not willing to take in Jewish immigrants. It made for a very frustrating situation when the Jews tried to get to any country they could, countries they wouldn't have considered a year or two earlier, like Shanghai, the Dominican Republic, or the Philippines, where language would be a problem. Now they just wanted to get to safety. There was one incident that became somewhat notorious concerning the MS St. Louis, a ship that left from Germany sailing to Cuba. Over 900 Jewish refugees had gathered their funds and were trying to get to Cuba. When they arrived there, they were not permitted to disembark. Frustrated, they sailed along the United States coastline and begged the U.S. government to let them land in the United States. They were not permitted to land. They were sent back to Europe, and a third of the passengers did not survive the Holocaust. England was not willing to take in adults, but they were willing to take in children on a kinder transport, and approximately 18,000 children were saved in this way. Their parents put them on trains. They assured them they would follow when their documents were completed, but in the meantime, they knew that their children would be safe in England. In most cases, the parents did not survive and were not able to rejoin their children. The period from November of 1938 was one of desperation, of trying to escape, of trying to get anywhere. But all of those avenues of safety ended September 1st, 1939, with the outbreak of the Second World War and the German occupation of Poland.